And give it up for yourselves. Give it up for yourselves, beautiful people. "12 reasons to abolish CBP and ICE." 1. When my father arrived in this country, the first words he learned in English were, "Thank you," to the Latina who sat beside him, and summarized the teacher's rapid-fire speech, "Thank you," to the snickered whispers he chose to ignore, and the broad-jawed bruiser who pretended his Colombian immigrant classmate did not exist, "Thank you," to the mentors who combed through line after line of a language that felt to his tongue like Braille to my hands, "Thank you, too." A father of 2 delivers a pizza to a military base in Brooklyn. The military police officer who ordered it demands the father's naturalization papers. When the delivery man refuses, the police officer calls ICE. Some soldiers at Fort Hamilton ordered a pizza. It had pepperoni, green peppers, onions. I'm lying, who cares? It was a pizza that might cost the father his family. The only tip the soldier gave was a phone call that risked making 2 little girls fatherless. 3. The first journalist allowed to enter Casa Padre calls the detention center an internment camp. Nearly 1,500 undocumented children locked up in an abandoned Walmart, having committed no crime but crossing a border to survive. 3. The 5-year-old boy who shares my name, Carlos, taken from his mother in Missouri and put up for adoption against her wishes, now renamed Jameson by the white couple who stole him. 3. The pregnant women detained by ICE, shackled around the stomach and denied medical care while they miscarried. 4. The honors chemistry textbook at my public high school was missing 1/3 of the elements of the periodic table. My English teacher would return papers with red wine stains and reeking of weed smoke. 60,000 bridges in our country are architecturally deficient. Is there nothing else we can do with this money? 5. The former chief counsel of ICE, who stole the identities of immigrants seeking asylum. A man who forged documents with a photograph of a murdered woman. 6. List of present-day U.S. states that were part of Mexico before 1848. California, Nevada, Utah, most of Arizona, close to half of New Mexico, a quarter of Colorado, and part of Wyoming. 7. Piles of confiscated rosaries in Brownsville, Texas. I imagine them hovered over someday by trauma tourists, muttering, "Never again." Again, and again, and again, and again. 8. The son of a Syrian refugee invented your iPhone. A Soviet-born computer scientist invented Google. Even a Canadian happened to create basketball. 9. Most terrorist attacks in the United States over the past 2 decades have been carried out by white American men. Most terrorist attacks in the United States over the past 200 years have been carried out by white American men. I have not seen a single headline calling a white American man terrorist. 10. Border Patrol agents encounter a father, mother, and their 3-year-old son from Honduras entering the U.S. across the border with Texas. The family asked to apply for asylum. The CBP officer says the family must be separated, physically restrain the father, tearing his 3-year-old son from his arms. They place the father in a chain-link detention cell, then move him 40 miles away to solitary confinement at Starr County Jail. At 9:50 a.m. the next morning, a guard finds the father lying in his own blood, having strangled himself with a piece of his clothing. The father's name was Marco Antonio Munoz. The father was the same age I was when my own son was 3. His name was Marco Antonio Munoz. His death was not publicly disclosed. It did not appear in any local news accounts. 11. Jose, the 5-year-old carrying a trash bag of dirty clothes and a stick figure drawing of his parents taken from his family. 11A, the 7-year-old girl in a pink bow and dress left behind after her parents were deported. 11B, Johan, the 1-year-old playing with a purple ball and drinking from a bottle, appearing in court without his father. 11C, the 3-year-old separated from her family, climbing on top of the desk during her deportation trial. 11D, the infant from Honduras pulled from his mother's breast, mid-feeding, separated from his mother, 11E, the child with special needs, separated from her mother, 11F, the boy who was deaf and not able to speak, separated from his mother, 11G, 11H, 11I, 12. Upon whose bones do we stand? What? What will it take? This is the title poem from my new collection. Before I read it, I just want to say the most epic, heartfelt thank you to Shaka Menelek Hotep Campbell. One of the people, I don't know where Shaka is, there you are. It's not hyperbole to say that Shaka is a legend in poetry and in art and in culture. There are like several legends in the room. He's like one among many, but it's not hyperbole. One of the best to ever do it. Somebody who I've adored and admired as a person much more than I adore him as an artist, and I'm already saying he's one of the best artists to ever do it. I've known Shaka for more than 20 years. Another person who I've known for more than 20 years, an absolute legend, one of the best to ever do it. Mighty Mike McGee, who like took your money and your ticket in the front. Again, one of the most generous people in the game and one of the best to ever do it. What a gift. Like, I'm so honored to be in this room with a lot of like parent energy and kids, a lot of fathers, you know what I mean? One of the best to ever do it, Rudy Francisco. Give it up for Rudy, who you're gonna see later. And my gosh, just tonight meeting Derek Sanderlin and like seeing your I don't know where Derek is, but your daughter walking in, love that. And Destiny Muhammad, my gosh, what a gift to be here. And huge shout out to Chris and Jason setting it off. That was so powerful. Get up for Jason and Chris. Oh my goodness, for those pieces to start it off. So this new collection I'm writing is thinking about the things that language can't touch. So I'm setting myself up to fail again with a poetry collection. And this is the title poem from that collection. Where language ends, after Keith Leonard. What is found beyond language? Where one tongue withholds from another. In Japanese, there is a single word that means finding beauty in imperfections. Linguists think the word bully evolved from the Dutch word boel, meaning lover. The word awful meant full of awe. I listened to old recordings of myself at 3, telling my sister secrets in a language I no longer speak, in Farsi. There is no direct equivalent to I love you. Instead, the commonly used phrase literally translates to I know you as my friend. My friends. I do not know the precise day my first language fully left me, but I recall relishing its familiar music like a muffled eavesdrop against a door. I would listen to my parents argue in a language I thought I knew. I could hear each word clearly, but not make out a single word's meaning. I wonder if the poems matter at all in German. There's a single word for a face, badly in need of a fist in Norwegian. The euphoria you feel as you begin to fall in love. When I comfort my love, the first time she encounters death unexpected, it is a sturdy haven of my arms and chest. Only the vernacular of touch keeps her from the floor. In Brazilian Portuguese, there's a single word for running your fingers through your lover's hair. I'm not writing a poem, I'm running my hands through her hair. On days like today, when the stanza feels like the most suffocating room, I part and braid the hair of my beloved. Fingers detangle strands into smooth lines like the arteries of a map. I inhale the scent of essential oils and shea butter, and there, peering around the corner, a dialect of 6-year-old irises, carried through generations, across oceans, the marvel and loss and rebirth of language where absence became the brutal miracle from which lineage was drawn. Our daughter is up past her bedtime, tracing her mother's crown carefully for the first time with her eyes as though it were a smuggled book, teaching her to speak. I saw this post online that since seeing it, I haven't been able to go a day without thinking about it, and it was this. It had 4 pictures. The first one was in black and white, and it was Berlin, Germany, 1937. The second picture, also in black and white, 1950 in the Jim Crow South of segregated water fountains. The third picture was also in black and white. It was 1976 Soweto and apartheid during South Africa. And the fourth picture was the only one in color. And it was just a photograph of a nondescript suburban house. White picket fence, manicured yard, French doors, and beneath it it said, United States. There's no date there, it just said present day. And beneath the 4 images, it said, whatever you are doing right now is what you would have done. Whatever you are doing right now is what you would have done. And I think about that every single day. Turns out, starving people steal. Bags of grain to not starve. The newspaper calls it looting. Attacked. The word journalists use for what families did to the UN convoy. Refused to form a straight line. And the sky, littered with phosphorus bombs and food aid. Flip a coin. Pray. Turns out some prayers get answered more readily, or at all. For example, 3-point shots. I asked God to go in that one year. I broke the 8th grade YMCA scoring record. People toss their heads back and laugh when I tell them I'm a washed up middle school basketball legend. Turns out, I'm not kidding. More shots than I prayed for went in. I littered the sky with careless shots, my wrist snapping and snapping and snapping. Some called me a sniper. My teammates, my best friend, the cartoonish announcer, relishing every second of it, called me straight water. Turns out, when you cut off the water supply, people die. Quickly. Like a word too many are terrified to say. Like a genocide. Even if they live next to a body of water. Not every body can be consumed, turns out. Something to do with salt and desalination and being limited by this human vessel we call a body. Turns out history is a riddle that can be turned like a combination to unlock any absolution. To erase what lies beneath the tank has been vaporized into a plastic bag a father carries across rubble he once called his parents' living room. I studied history in college. To better shape a future I was terrified to meet. Then, for the first time, I held my daughter. Her eyes indicted the careful ways I tell the story of my life. How I'm quilted from small lies that each tell me I am innocent. Turns out every jarring image unthreads me. Turns out I lie for a living. No. I tell myself I lie to stay alive. I tell my children I can protect you. I tell them each human life is sacred, is worth the same, which is infinite, which is beyond measure, which is how I understood what my mom told me when she said God is not in the sky looking down, but inside each of us. It made me feel vast, infinite, beyond measure. Turns out lives are measured every day by insurance companies, weapons manufacturers, politicians, social media influencers crafting their next witty quip like a virus. Turns out a life's value can turn like the wind, can shift from being worth dust to whatever remains when dust has been swept away. Turns out the poem makes us feel something, but never quite enough to remake the sky inside our bodies, where God looks down on everything we hide from the world. Turns out I'm a failed poet. I tried too hard to make the poems do something. I believed the poems could remake the sky, emptied of bombs, emptied of sky.